Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Today we are going to be practicing neurographic style of drawing. I'm not going to call it true neurography simply because there is a psychology component to it that I am not well versed in. However, one of the things that I do know is that neurography is supposed to help you kind of calm your mind and problem solve. So when we are doing these drawings, I want you to just relax and immerse yourself in the experience. I don't want you to think too much about whether or not you're getting something perfect or not, because it kind of defeats the purpose of this type of drawing. One of the things I like about neurographic art is that you really don't have to know how to draw realistically to be successful at it. I'm going to create a practice drawing, and you don't necessarily have to follow along. I'm just really trying to show you the process and the speed at which I would kind of like you all to draw, and I will give you some pointers throughout the video. So I'm going to be using a fine point Sharpie. In class, we'll have both kinds. We'll have the regular Sharpies and we'll have the fine point Sharpies. But I'm going to start out in the corner of my page, and I'm just really going to focus on just making a line that's somewhat wavy. And this line is just going to kind of go from corner to corner. And one of the things that I feel like makes neurographic art successful is when we make sure that we have the lines that are crossing over one another or creating intersections. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to start to draw a line that will cross over this line. When I used to teach this lesson, when I taught this lesson as a middle school teacher, I would have my kids just make like swirls. And I found that sometimes that was successful, but other times it was not, because they would get caught in the scribbling aspect. Now I'm going to start here. And bring this line down. For this project, I would like for you to try to make sure you have some lines that extend to the outer edge of your paper. And not all of your lines have to have the little crinkles like that. You can make some bigger movements here. And I'm going to turn my paper. And as far as composition goes, it's up to you whether you want your composition to be vertical or horizontal. Okay, I like the way that looks. Now I'm going to start to add some circles to my work. And these are going to be freehand circles. They don't have to be perfect, okay? I want you to abandon the thought of perfection right now. This is supposed to be a relaxing experience, so we don't want to get caught up in trying to make things perfect. I'm going to make sure that my circles are various sizes. And maybe some of them will actually run off the page, like that one. I'm going to do another one over here. I'm just going to rotate my paper. I like to use repetition in my work. So on this line that I have right here, I'm going to draw some circles that get smaller as we travel down this line, and that creates a sense of movement, and each circle is just going to get a little bit smaller. And I think I would like to repeat that somewhere else. I'm going to turn my paper this way. To create a sense of balance, I'm going to do the same thing along this line. One thing about Sharpies, if you keep them in a spot too long, they'll start to bleed and you'll see that the ink starts to spread. So you want to work at a fluid pace, not too fast, but also not too slow, because things will start to bleed. Okay, so this, I think this looks pretty good, but I'm going to add one more circle right here. Okay. I'm getting ready to zoom in because one of the characteristics of neurographic art is that you have to round the areas where you have intersections. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I just have to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to find the intersection to start out with. So right here we have intersecting lines. And what you want to do here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. You are going to create kind of like an inverted diamond shape. Okay, and what happens, you see how this is bleeding right here, you kind of see exactly where it stops. You don't want that to happen. So you want to try to create a situation where when you draw this, that line starts to extend on top of another line, because you want it to look smooth. And then we're going to fill this in. Same thing here. I want that to look smooth, so I'm going to go up a little higher and try to drop it right on top of that other line. Now I find that this is a little easier to do with the other Sharpie. And when you're using the Sharpies, don't press down really hard. I'm gonna have to make this thicker because I kind of went out a little bit. When I zoom out, my little connection is going to look like that. And you're going to repeat that process at your intersections. Students always ask me, well, do I have to do that at every intersection? No, you don't, but you are going to do that at most of them. So I'm going to zoom back in so you can see as I work around my page. And you have to take your time here. You have to pay attention to how you touch your paper, because you want to be gentle so that you can get these lines to stack on top of each other. And sometimes you make mistakes, and like right here, I'm going to have to make this line thicker to kind of correct where I went out. And I do need you to get in the habit of taking your time. Sometimes students rush because they just want to get done, and then you're not happy with your grade, because I can tell when you rush through things. And if you finish early and you don't, like the criticism or feedback that I give you, I'm just going to give you something else to do. So why not take your time and do a good job on your projects? And even after I do all of this, I will still probably go back and clean up some of these lines. going to zoom all the way out so you can kind of see how things are looking as a whole. And I'm just going to continue to make my rounded areas. And we're going to play with line variation here. So some of your lines can be thick, some of them can be thinner, but we want to have those different line varieties in this particular artwork. And just in case you have a hard time understanding like what I'm doing as far as the rounding goes, just think about if you have an intersection like this, you're just basically rounding out these corners. So make sure that you're rounding this way and then, you know, filling it in like you need to, and you're not doing this. Okay? Make sure you're not doing that. And now I'm going to start to work a little bit faster. Remember, I will go back and clean things up. In the second video, I'll talk about how you're going to start adding color to your designs. But I will say this, I do feel like it's easier to use the regular size Sharpie. And like I said, both of those will be available to you in class. So I'm going to continue to work on this, and when I start the second video, you will be able to see how I have cleaned my paper up and how I've completed this. But hopefully you will enjoy the process of creating your neurographic starter drawing for this project. Low pressure, so don't think about it too much. And just remember, it's supposed to be a relaxing experience. Okay, so I will see you in the next video.